Greetings, Legionnaires, and welcome to another movie commentary. My name is Jimmy Good, and I am from Critical Reviews. Thank you so much for joining me tonight because, or well, depending on when you're listening to this, it could be the daytime, it could be the morning, I don't know. You live your life however you'd like. I'm watching this at like 10:45 or 10:46. It's the middle of May. You guys don't need to know that. Anyway, we're watching The Mask of Zorro. I put this up on a poll on Patreon. It was between this and The Little Mermaid. Don't ask me how I choose the two films that go head to head. But this is on Netflix, and I watched it a few weeks ago, and I really, really enjoyed this film, but I wanted to kind of talk about it more. There's a podcast out on it that I've done, and I really think this is an underrated gem. We're going to go through it, and hopefully you guys will learn a couple new things, because I'm going to try to throw some fun facts your way. Are they legitimate facts? Well, I hope so. And if not, then, you know, it's still entertainment, I'm sure. Either way, we're going to start together here. And I'm sitting at 1 second. I'm on Netflix, so if you guys are on Netflix, you can start there too, but I will kind of let you know what we're looking at as we go into it. All right, we see the clouds. Music's starting up. Some intense action and violence. That's why it's rated PG-13. Oh, I think there might be more than that, though. TriStar! Kind of reminds me of the Columbia background. That's different, though. Mask of Zorro. Man, it's been a while. Been a while since this movie actually came out in theaters. Oh my goodness. So this intro, they don't really do movies like this anymore, where they're kind of like, it's all about kind of the mythos of the character to this degree. Like, you don't get the Batman running from the light anymore. Oh. Yeah, you hear that kind of cat row a few different times in the movie. It's great. It's wonderful. Now, the way I describe this movie to people who haven't seen it before, it's kind of like The Count of Monte Cristo. If you guys are familiar with that film. Kind of meets... Well, like, there's a lot of the comparison of Raiders of the Lost Ark, but... Gosh, there was another movie. I was thinking about this right before I got on. I was like, this is such a great analogy for these two things. Oh, this is a great little intro for our main character here, too. See, it's fun, because it's like a mask and Alejandro. It's foreshadowing there. Oh, it's, so I've remembered it. It's like Count of Monte Cristo meets Batman Begins. Now, originally, Steven Spielberg was set to direct this, apparently. He's actually an executive producer on here. Apparently, it had an issue, or he had an issue because it was scheduling conflict with Saving Private Ryan, and a lot of this intro is Spielberg, I guess. I really appreciate this movie because there's so much of it that's practical. Like, so much of it is practical. Even the mine stuff we see later on, they actually built those sets. Pretty crazy. Now, before all of the kind of superhero craze that we're living in today, where they're everywhere, they're ubiquitous, this movie kind of was like, I don't know, it's fun to have it be set in a completely different time period and be focused on a hero that doesn't have any superpowers. Kind of gives you a little bit of a look into the origins not only of Batman, which obviously for people who know Batman, where his parents got killed because they left the theater after they watched Zorro, but Zorro was inspired Batman's creation. Just in actual real life, not just in the comics. But I just really appreciate that you get to kind of have a different look into somebody else's culture a little bit with Zorro. And it's such a prominent character, especially back in the early days, especially for like Walt Disney and stuff too. So there's definitely a through line there. I love it. I love it. What I really appreciate about this movie, too, is that the time jump that we see in a little bit here, you get a lot of these characters when they were a little bit younger, kind of in their prime, and then it kind of jumps forward, and you're like, whoa, okay. Gets a little intense. I never realized this, but I'm pretty sure he's snorting cocaine there. Raphael, get out of here. Keep going. Now, apparently Tom Cruise was set to star in this like way back with like Steven Spielberg as the director, which would have been a completely different film, I think. Like, whoa. Now, there's a lot of interesting, like, Spanish and Mexican kind of politics going on here that I still don't have a complete grasp of myself, but I still enjoy it. Right there, kind of showing off a little bit of Raphael's, like, who he is and kind of his thoughts and ideas. I'll play into it later. And there he is, Anthony Hopkins. Oh my gosh. I love Sir Anthony Hopkins. He is one of my favorite actors. I think he's so very good. And I think he's perfect for this role. Apparently, Anthony Hopkins was working on a different film that he got injured on. And they had to do this kind of like laser back surgery on him. And then after he got through with that, he felt like he was strong enough and able to do this film. It's wonderful. This seems like such classic, like, Saturday morning kind of cartoon, like, the bad guys doing something, like, we're already in the middle of the conflict, like, that's how it's starting out. Not that most Saturday morning cartoons started off with a firing squad, but just this kind of idea of a conflict that starts right from the get-go. I think it's great. Like, good job, Zorro. Look at him, he looks so good. He looks so happy to be there, too. I miss, like, the good old swashbuckle, like, sword fighting movies, you know? Like, look at all this. It looks so nice. Look at him go. He's already been cut, though, on his left arm, you can see. I guess I missed where he got cut there, but that does play into it later on. They show up pretty prominently there. And it's cool to see that, like, there's a bunch of bullet holes in the wall behind him, showing that they've used this in the past. It's not like a brand new firing squad area. That bell is just for the snipers. They're like, shoot him. All those poor men killed by those children. And see, Zorro's happy about it. Like, he's not like, you got him my way, kids. Yeah. You're probably gonna hear that a lot in this movie, just me going like, yeah, good job, Zorro. Wah, slice and dice. And he's a man of the people, and so they help him out. They'll throw fruit. They'll kind of let him get through the crowd. It's good power to have. He's like, here, have my necklace. And it's cool, too, because later on you see that the outfit of Zorro is very similar, you know, when Antonio Banderas gets it, but it is different still here. Man, but you gotta think, it'd be super, super warm in that outfit, especially down in Mexico, like all black. I'd probably still do it. But it's cool also to see him in broad daylight. Like, he's not skulking around or anything. He's out and about. He is showing off. Now, I'm pretty sure Anthony Hopkins didn't do this portion. But it would have been pretty incredible if he did. Ooh. That was always brutal. Just kill him. Or just throw him to the crowd. You know? That's all I'm saying. And another thing that's fun about this movie too is kind of the passing of the torch. We're already seeing one of the kind of the hero himself be at the height of his power. Everything's going perfectly for him. You know, everybody's backing him up. He's taking on tons of guys by himself. Tornado shows up right on cue. It's all perfect, you know, no screw ups, no mistakes. He's been doing this for a long time. Oh, man, they get these shots. And the music is so good too. Guys, we're in for a real treat here. Don't you dare worry about it. He's like, why didn't I get the necklace? And a nice way to tie in his character, Alejandro, to Don de la Vega. Diego de la Vega. There we go. Not Don. Diego de la Vega. It gets confusing. I also really enjoy that he has his own kind of Batcave, which again, Zorro was before Batman, so Batman has a Zorro cave, I suppose. But it just kind of makes sense just like in a cave, you know? Like, he probably built all this stuff to some extent, but it's not overly advanced. Nothing here is really crazy besides the fireplace we see coming up soon. I don't know what mechanism that is, but it's pretty great. Put a bandage on it, man. I really like his hacienda, too. If that's what you call it. I don't know. Is that the correct term? I'm going to look it up. She comes back into play later on, too. You watch her. Hacienda, a large estate or plantation with a dwelling house. I'm going to call that a hacienda. I've done it. There's little Elena. Originally, apparently, the role might have gone to Shakira as opposed to Catherine Zeta-Jones, which is another very different casting choice if it would have been her and Tom Cruise and Steven Spielberg. I like how the baby is just completely enthralled, because that's what Anthony Hopkins does. Look at him working with animals and babies in the first couple of minutes. What a legend. Another thing to remember, like I said later on, for those who probably most people have seen this, hopefully, if you are listening to this now, because you should definitely watch the movie before and then watch it with me. But I love the younger looking version they have here of Anthony Hopkins. Not that he gets way older, but like his hair and everything, they do such a good job with aging him up, but also aging him down here. It's great. Like, you feel like you could almost have done the whole movie as him as, like, the main protagonist, not like in his twilight years, like he's just kind of in the middle of his career, as opposed to the end of it. Kind of an interesting way to kiss, though. I don't know. Why isn't it bleeding through yet? The villains are very scary as far as how sneaky they are in this scene. His kisses are kind of weird. I don't know if it's like an old school like style because it seems like that's how it used to be back in like the 90s. Like you see Pierce Brosnan kind of do a similar thing. Look at how quiet those guys are. So good. Look at him. He's just putting on the charm immediately. I love it so much. Now, Anthony Hopkins and this gentleman here, I forget, I'll have to look him up, but not necessarily like probably great representation of like actually Mexican actors because neither of them are, but I still think they play the part well enough. The blood never lies. There it is. There it is. Thank you. Well, also she was just saying that he was Zorro, you know. He's like, I'm gonna kill everybody. Like that jump is so good. There's a lot of sword fighting in this movie. And we'll get to it later, talking more about it. But like, look at these. Like, look at this. It's just so good. It's a wide shot, and they're just holding on the fight. Like, it's brutal. Like, it's so good. Like they're getting cuts and stabs in. It's very good. Like, look, this is an action adventure movie, you know? I also love what he does here. He just kills that dude right out. And he's just like, I'm not gonna, or outright, he's like, I'm done with you, dude. You killed the lady I loved. Which is kind of maybe one of the only things keeping him alive. Looks like Raphael fixed his mustache, though, between this morning and now, which is good. It's nice to have that kind of uniformity again. Now, again, this is where the kind of the Count of Monte Cristo idea comes in. If for those who are unfamiliar with that film or that play, it's basically a man who has everything stripped from him, taken from him by some bad people, and he basically swears revenge on them and waits so long to exact his revenge. And when he finally does, it's this kind of like beautiful, grand scheme. And that's kind of what we get with Anthony Hopkins' character here. Diego de la Vega. Like, this is so mean. The music is just so good. And again, I know the movie has to exist, but I think why didn't Zorro kill Raphael? I don't know why Raphael didn't kill Zorro when he had the chance. Like right there, why would you let that guy live? You know, like this guy who's taken on hundreds of your men, if not thousands, and you're just going to let that guy live? And now we get kind of the Batman Begins portion of it, too. With good old Antonio Banderas. Oh, he's also excellent. He's super duper good. I love it. This song. It's Fast Jack, man. Nobody's got Fast Jack. Nobody stop Fast Jack. Yeah, I know the song. Apparently that's L.Q. Jones, three-fingered Jack. And Stuart Wilson is the name of Don Rafael Montego. Very good. The funny thing is you find out later on that he actually is, like, not a bad guy for them, but he's treating them horribly right here. I don't know if it's just all part of the bit or their joke. And again, this is so real, like you feel it. Like this is shot on location. Apparently a lot, or most all of this was shot on location. And you just, in everything they have, all the sets, all the props, all the animals, like they're all real for as much as they can be. I like that there's this whole kind of grift that these guys have been running for a while. But this is how we're introduced to them again, even though we've seen them before. For the both of you. I love it. I love it. So dangerous. Yes, you will. I like his brother too. Like all these guys in this gang are really likable. Like you think it's gonna be one way, like this, bad guy's gonna turn him and they're gonna go to jail. Maybe that's where they're gonna meet Anthony Hopkins. It's like, nope. And so this movie's got a good mix of the serious, which we had earlier on, but some levity too. There's a really important thing to strike a balance of that in your action adventures. And you have to go from one to the other. It's also good too because you wouldn't think Three-Fingered Jack would be, well, it becomes Three-Fingered Jack, but oh, that would be horrible, by the way. Yikes. But you wouldn't think he, like, when you see him in the beginning, you're like, oh, this guy is not, he would never work with these two. But it's like, nope, they're old buddies. It's good bait and switch. From the funny to the serious. And now we get introduced to Captain Love with a super long pistol. Which I guess I just realized for the first time there, he holds it with two hands for that shot. Crack shot. Captain Love. Now, one thing that's really good about this type of movie that I don't know if you see too often, because this is kind of like a marriage of two different things, like I talked about, where you had the Count of Monte Cristo and the Batman Begins. But there are two separate main antagonists, one for each of our main protagonists to fight against. It's not like, they have just like one guy they have to go after, and it's not that Antonio Banderas' character, Alejandro, here wouldn't fight Don Rafael. He totally does. But Captain Love, because of all this, is like the guy. Like the guy. Oh, Captain Love. The one thing I don't understand here is he hacks downwards. And you'll notice something that might be a little off with physics. I don't know how the necklace flies like that. So scary. Like such a creep. And you get like this kind of sense about him. Like, he's American, like, he's obviously a soldier. Like, there's more to Captain Love that we're not, like, we don't ever really get to know, but that he's just, like, kind of a psycho. And, like, he waited there while they, like, took out his brother, like, buried his body and bagged his head and stuff. It just... So in one day, he was going from, like, a good score to losing his gang mates, one of them being his brother of probably 30 years. I don't know how old he was when they were watching Zorro, but around then. Back to the funny. And then we see the passage of time. So basically what happens, if I'm not mistaken, is Santa Anna came with his army 20 years ago, and all the Dons kind of had to flee, kind of split up California and all this stuff. So Raphael went either home to Spain or somewhere else, but now he's come back after 20 years. And if he's going to come back home, he needs to make sure that the loose ends that he never truly tied up are now tied up. Which is basically, where is Zorro? It's fun there because we pass over Zorro, and they don't make a big deal about it. Now, Elena is probably going to be like, what, 20 now? 20, a little over. But I guess Zorro or Antonio Banderas, Alejandro would be like 28, 30-ish, maybe. A little bit of a Spartacus moment here too, which is pretty fun. And it's funny because we all know who he is. Raphael knows who he is too. And he just can't find him, which is great. Which he could have killed him right here, or he gets close, where he could have. But we need a little more time. Now there's a bit of luck involved here. This is a little strange. Kind of the old prisoner switcheroo. But I also like the fact that, like, these guards aren't super nice. Like, we get that. But Zorro, he's not above taking these guys out with his bare hands, which would be so scary. Like, he's still a capable guy. I also like that Raphael has his little cloak around, and I guess now that I think about it, it's kind of interesting that we had him make landfall and search for Zorro, but tomorrow he's still going to make his big entrance like, I'm just coming back for the first time ever. So people would never figure out that he went ashore if he found Zorro to kill him. Also, I like that we see the ingenuity of Zorro. I should start to differentiate between them with Diego here. Like, choke that guy out. Keys didn't work, and he didn't just give up right away. He's like, you know what? Nope, this is my opportunity. And I'm going to blow the chains off, which I would never have thought to do. If the keys wouldn't have worked, I would have been like, oh no. And there it's just kind of worked out well for him because I think he was just going to leave either way because he knows that Raphael is back. But he saw this opportunity to basically be escorted out by the guards without any problem. And these guys don't strike me as the type to let negligence be known to their superiors. So when they find these two dead guys in this prison cell, nobody's going to know. Like, they're not going to tell anybody. And of course, they wouldn't bury him in an actual casket or anything, like a coffin. So this kind of works out. How he rips through it, though, I don't know. Old nails or something. Oh, yeah, he's got a knife, or like a bayonet. The cat noise. Just running in the water. "20 years later." Again, I like how they make even Luis look a little bit older. It's just well done. Like Gold Rush. Now, in one night, Diego has escaped from prison and made it all the way here. And he's looking pretty good, too, if I remember correctly. They're like, "What are you doing?" None of them understand him. No. Look at him. He looks pretty good. The Dons were standing behind him. They're just like, yeah, 20 years later, and they're still yelling for Zorro. And he walks right past him. It's so good. He's like won them over with this little speech, which isn't super great, but it's good enough. Oh, Montero. I said Montego earlier. Montero. He gives pause there for a moment, but then he's like, "I'm still going to kill this guy right now." And back then, those guys, like, they've got the soldiers down there, but they don't have their guns trained on him. He could have gotten to him, you know? "My daughter, who looks nothing like me, and I was never really married to anyone, but don't worry about it." Very pretty. It's also fun how Esperanza was kind of the thing maybe that was holding Raphael back in the first place from killing Diego, and now now we have Elena being the thing that holds Diego back from killing Raphael. kind of a chance meeting here. It's not the greatest way to have them meet up, but still, they have to do it somehow, right? I'm not sure how you do it otherwise. I like the little musical cues that pop up every once in a while, like that little kind of flute thing. It's like, oh, what? I love his little... It's not a poncho? Is it like a blanket? I don't know what he's wearing. It's so good. I guess he gave that necklace away because it was like his last fight 20 years ago, and that's the reason he did it, and those boys saved his life. Captain Love's got a little leopard print saddle. So funny. It's so good. Oh my gosh. Just destroying him, you know. Even if he wasn't drunk, I don't know if Alejandro would have had much of a chance in his current state against him. Looks like he's really poking him there. It's like real stabbing him. It's like, come on, man. Ease up. You seem trained to drink. Uh, I wonder if he's crippled, quote unquote, right now because of that explosion around his ankle last night. And hopefully you're the same person who I gave this to, or the brother I gave it to a long time ago, and that wasn't sold off or anything. But it is. It's the same person. He seems so proud. It's great. Now, this was probably a set, you know, but it's good. It's a great set. There's a horse in the background trying to show you how they got there. Well, I don't see two, though, so they must have rode together. See right there, Elena, the complication. the relationship we get here between Anthony Hopkins and Antonio Banderas, or Diego and Alejandro, is at the heart of this movie, and it really comes through. And unlike something with like kind of a Ben Kenobi and a Luke Skywalker, there's a warmth and familiarity between these two. And I really dig it. As time goes on, you start to see that they really trust each other, even if they are still learning about each other. Sometimes there are lies, sometimes there's things they don't know about each other, but you can definitely see that Alejandro kind of is the son that Diego never had. I also look at Diego's stance right there, like a swordsman, whereas Alejandro is just kind of like, I don't know, I'm just standing here. I like that part. I love it. So good. He's like, I'm putting on my old Zorro stuff. Now, apparently, Antonio Banderas trained with the Spanish, Olympic sword fighting team for 4 months to learn. That was part of his training. Thank you. And he's got a little training vest on, but Diego doesn't need it. And I like the kind of the rope course they have here. It just seems like really straightforward. Get a good workout in. You got to use ropes when you're Zorro. The classic, I'm going to make you do push-ups over candles. He's not sitting on him completely like they do in anime usually, but... It's like, ouch. I love that. He, whips him, but the second he sees that, he's gonna get angry, he puts the whip away, grabs the sword, grabs a dagger, and he's like, I'm gonna teach you a lesson here. It's gonna be rough, but you're gonna learn it. So Bob Anderson, look this up, who trained Errol Flynn back in the day, played Darth Vader, helped train Antonio Banderas, and said he was one of the best swordsmen he's ever trained. That's pretty cool. Look at this. I also don't know if it's the sound design too, but it's just so good. And he's getting kind of cocky and kind of confident. You start to see Alejandro shift from that street rat, that thief, into what he's going to become, which is the new Zorro, but also kind of more of a refined gentleman, a very kind of confident fighter and individual. How come they're just rolling through the streets this fast? Look, it's better than the Batmobile. Look at it go. It's funny, I watched Two Towers recently, And there's a scene very much like this with Aragorn where he's calming down Brago, this other horse from Rohan. I like how that guy does not remember him. Oh, I guess I'm just noticing this, is that he takes that kind of bandana or whatever off of the new tornado's hoof, but it smells like that tornado, so, tornado won't mind him as much. That's great. That's a great... There's so many little details. I'm still just learning all this stuff. It's so great. Ugh. And like every good kind of superhero origin film, you gotta have the trial run. It's like in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie. Gotta get that suit. It's not gonna be perfect the first time, but we're still gonna try. He looks like such a bandit or a scoundrel. It's so funny. So apparently it says here 80% of the scenes were shot on location, which is pretty good. Which I'm guessing a large amount of that was the lair of the fox, Zorro's cave. Must have been set somewhere because you're not going to probably find a cave quite like that. But I could be wrong. This movie also kind of feels like there's some inspiration here for Pirates of the Caribbean, the movie later on. Just kind of good old-fashioned, straightforward, swashbuckling, practical effects for a lot of it. Also a little bit of the Spanish influence in those movies, but huge in this. And like that room is just full of grunts to fight, is basically the thing. I like how the horse just looks at him like, what you doing, man? Like, what's the big deal? It's fine. Now, I don't know if that horse is different from the one that we saw earlier. Obviously, in the context of the film, it is. But I'm not sure if they just use the same one. Or if there are multiple horses. Or if there are multiple horses that play the same horse. Who knows? But it's a beautiful horse. And I like the hair that's coming down in front of it. It's very chic. So remember we talked about in the beginning? It's going perfectly for him. Like, with Diego. But now we're seeing that, Alejandro is still new to this. And he looks like such a goof, like rolling around in here. He's like, ah! Those guys are dead. I don't care who you are. Those guys maybe not dead. That horse is wrecking shop, though. We all have to admit. Those bunk beds are really high, too. I've never seen bunk beds that high before. Just chaos. And so, he could have easily escaped here, and we could have been like, we're done with the scene. Oh, but no. We must do more. Which is great. If Diego could see him now. All these just really angry guards. And Now, again, a little cartoony here where they have the whole like dog pile thing, and then he just kind of sneaks out. Not that it would be impossible for someone to do that, but this is a very fun, kind of lighthearted action scene, and they have a few of them in this movie. Usually involving these guards. Like, mostly when you see these guys, like that little guy there, he's always usually like a joke kind of fight scene. Which is a nice juxtaposition to the very super serious sword fights we get later on that feel like any moment anybody could die. Also, this is kind of a showcase of Alejandro's ability to kind of literally roll with the punches here and just kind of make it up as he goes along a little bit, which is another thing you have to learn when you're Zorro. That kind of move right there. A little reminiscent of the gun whip thing we see earlier in the movie where he disables like 4 guys, 4 swords at the same moment. It's good. And he's not like outright killing these guys. Like, he's not stabbing everybody. He's throwing some elbows. Oh, he's got the dagger out. Oh, this is great too, where you get the kind of like their locked swords and everything. I don't know where this guy was earlier on. I guess I didn't just see him. Oh, he just shakes him. I love it. This guy's huge, and I don't know if they put him on like stilts or anything. I think he might just be that tall. Kill him. It's like the same. It's like, don't you love when a villain just says the same order again, like he's waiting for a new order? This cannonball thing, I don't care who you are, this looks so painful. Ugh. Ugh, it's disgusting. I love he just shows up with a torch and the cannon. Again, a little comical. But fun. It's a fun movie. Look at that. He just seems so proud of himself. And it's like, oh. Uh-oh. Also reminds me a little of like Muppet Treasure Island, if anybody's familiar with that. This is the same priest from 20 years ago, I believe, as well. That dialogue's so good. The priest just be like, "You're looking good, man. I'm not looking that great, but you are." It just Alejandro not knowing what to do with that just kind of pats him like, "I don't know what to tell you, man." And again, kind of, weaving the funny and the serious, but then also the romance in this film too, just all together here, which is great. I also love that he realizes who it is and decides, I'm going to play into this. It's going to be fun. And he plays it really well. And then you also get like this kind of like layer on top of a layer here. So it's Antonio Banderas playing Alejandro, playing a priest that's kind of he's waffling between being like the priest, but also what really Alejandro thinks. It's good stuff. Like, she must not know this priest very well. What a creepy thing for a priest to ask or to say. Like, how does she not know? I guess she's just not used to this world. She was brought up kind of very proper, like. But good on her for being honest about her feelings to a priest or whatever. It was a different time. Captain Love. What a creep, always. I like how she didn't hear any of that stuff earlier. So, So Zorro cut his way out of the ceiling of that thing without anybody seeing. It's just like in a Z shape. No, that'd be great. It's like, what does that mean, man? That's like, would the priest necessarily know that was going on? There's also something kind of fun about a lack of technology in this, where it's not like he's calling his car and the car malfunctions. Like, it's a living, breathing creature that, has wants and will do whatever it pleases. I'm not sure how they did this. They might have done this with wire work. Because that feels like you'd break your knees. The horse has got a good personality, though. It's fun. He just goes over to some blank wall. He's like, I'm going to do this. I also appreciate that Diego still trains. Like, he's still kind of honing his craft. Like, he's just getting better with a whip all the time. Which whip work is stuff they haven't really gone over too much yet. I like how he says that. Like, he knows that he went out there to scratch his Z into a wall. We see this effect used later on too, where you saw that mask and the cape ripped off. And I will tell you when we see it. You'll be like, oh yes, of course. I don't know why Diego loves to kind of wrap the whip around him like that. He just always does. Again, like we've been talking about this whole time, you mix the serious, but also with the comical. Because you're like, whoa, they're going to fight. Oh, wait, what? He's got a spoon? Charm. Charm. I love it. It's so great. I don't know where they get the money, but I like that Diego looks super pleased with himself there. I like that Alejandro has that kind of like self-awareness to say, like, this is going to take a lot of work, but we don't get this whole like Beauty and the Beast training montage of like etiquette. It's just like we're just jumping into it. Got a little sword cane there. And that little fact right there is one of the biggest downfalls of Raphael, is that he has Zorro in his house and he never knows it. And the different way in which Alejandro speaks between just being casual right there with Diego, and then right here you're like, oh, he's really putting it on. Must have forged those documents? Who knows? Just laying it on thick. See, and the thing is, he is a thief, and he has that background, so we know that he can kind of put on an act if he wants, but like this is the big night, right? Ugh. So well done. going off book there for a second. Well done, Alejandro. This movie's just like perfectly cast. Like, Raphael he does such a good job, Stuart Wilson, of playing such an evil dude, but also like he's relatively charming, and you kind of, he's totally buying into all this, crap that Alejandro's shoveling his way. Also, I don't know if Alejandro's magic, but where does he get this flower? It's like, where'd he get that rose? Is he stealing stuff? Must be. And he's met her 3 times now. Once as Zorro, kind of. Once as a priest, sort of. And now as this nobleman. Which, that means if when they ever do get to, like, talk, she'd be like, who are you really? Look at all the extras. Look at this beautiful, huge hacienda. It's so nice. I gotta find the shooting location. Just walk around there. It's probably like a private estate. The question is, who is Alejandro talking up there? And he just kind of leaves him. Like, whatever. And unlike most movies where this sort of thing happens, Diego's totally cool with it. He likes that they're getting together. Like, sometimes you get, like, the father figure, the father being like, nope, stay away from my daughter. But he's like, nope, this is great. They're so lucky that none of those people know Alejandro's quote-unquote father. What if that wasn't public knowledge? Also, I just love that if you're going to play this game, if you're going to sneak around, you got to have a little bit of fun yourself, right? What's in those glasses? Ugh. So mean. I also like, too, that they kind of break the mold with Elena a little bit there. She's speaking her mind, being a little more outright than she probably normally would be or allowed to be in this time. Oh, it's another classic kind of Batman tactic, by the way. Kind of make fun of yourself. But the daughter of the governor, I guess she can say things like that. I love it. Captain Love just rolls his eyes at him. It's like, this guy could never, ever be Zorro. Like, this little cream puff. I like, too, that you still get a little bit of flirting from him, even if it's not in the greatest way. Like, he's trying to impress the other Dons, kind of being like, I'm one of you guys. And now she's trying to throw it back in his face, being like, I'm going to go dance with Captain Love. How do you like them apples, But we give Anthony Hopkins stuff to do. Diego's still being a thief. Bernard, which I think directly inspired Good old Alfred Pennyworth, Batman's butler. It'd also be weird to see in the house of your lifelong enemy a painting of your late wife. Would be strange. Just staring like a creep. What a great line. A sense of the miraculous in everyday life. And I hope it'll not be the last. I have not caught that before either. What a great little line. I like that he got Captain Love out of there, started dancing with her, but like joked on his behalf once and then made another slight like he's going to do it again in the future, but also like kind of boosted her morale at the same time. Just so well written, so well done. And there we get Diego who's all like, yeah, they're dancing together. This is great. But the Dons left the table. And he does such a good job of feeling like a servant here, Diego does. Like, he can be so commanding in his presence, Anthony Hopkins, and then, like, he can seem so subservient at the same time, like, when he needs to. It's well done. I also enjoyed that Alejandro, again, going off book here, and to make sure that, well, the Dons can't leave the table without him, but he still doesn't want to leave Elena. And also, did Diego teach him how to dance like this? Because that's the only thing that makes sense. And I'm pretty sure in some of those wide shots, that's not Antonio Banderas. Look at his face. This song is so good. Man, going to a party with a live like orchestra, so good. He's like, wait a second. And I like how her hair is getting kind of crazy too, like she's letting loose, like she doesn't always get to. And it's like, obviously there's like a sexual tension to it, but it's not overly done, you know? And again, back in this time, remember that men can really do no wrong compared to women, which is really too bad. He's like trying to get into that meeting. And harkening back there, that's good writing to what he said earlier, in search of a vision. And Raphael, so confident now that Zorro, while there's this new one kind of running around, it's not the same one. He's just going to bring this totally random nobleman that he's never met before into this party and then into the secret party. What a dummy. I love that big map, big canvas map. It's so cool. They're like, great presentation, man. We love the map and everything. It's good stuff. I love that he calls them out on that. This is a fun plan. It's slightly complex, not overly convoluted, though. Gotta get that flute noise in. When the gold shows up, get the flute noise. Or should I say, not flute noise, but just flute sound. So basically, Raphael's whole thing, and they cut right to it, which is great, is that they're digging on Santa Anna's land to steal his gold, put their print on it, and basically use that gold that should be Santa Anna's, because he's so focused on the war with the United States, to buy California from him, using his money. It's a great grift, if you could pull it off, but logistically speaking, I feel like it'd be kind of a nightmare, you know? Now, in this movie, which, by the way, we talked about earlier, that this set, for the most part, is real, a lot of it. But that, we usually have an action scene again by now. But that dance scene kind of facilitates one a little bit. Highs and lows, guys. It's good. Again, it's a great idea. I just wonder if Santa Anna would have any spies or any of these Dons who might not be completely loyal to this new plan, who'd tell him. But again, if he's busy fighting, might be preoccupied. And then for the first time here, we get Alejandro on the other side of this, where he's not, one of the locals or just a citizen or a thief, but he's a nobleman, and he has to see, like, the darkness of this world that without Zorro, can exist. And the priest from earlier getting punished. Ugh, horrible. I love it. There he is. It's Jack. He does such a good job. Like, look at the outfit and the makeup and everything. So good. So Jack's been there for months. I just love his yell. Look how crazy he is. Like, what's he gonna do? Just gets knocked out of the air. It's just brutal. They just laugh about it like, yeah, it's nothing. This is a moment where Alejandro, I think, probably would have been given away. As Captain Love is just watching him. And you get this kind of recognition moment. This is one of 3 times you get this kind of moment in the movie. It's usually someone seeing Zorro, and it's like a moment of relief, but there's just this one time where it's just a moment between friends as he passes, and it's very poignant, I think. It's really well done. Just like that little smile there from Alejandro, and then just... Ugh. Again, just great writing. Just a good callback there about shooting the man to the air, like for the second time. Now here, Captain Love is a pretty good feeling that Alejandro is who he thinks he is. But the question is, like, was he just going to bring him to his house to murder him? I don't know. I love that big painting in the background there, even though they're kind of roping a bull. Another thing, too, is we're kind of weaving multiple plot lines and characters and their connections. And Bernardo here with Elena, obviously Diego. And they're not giving up on that, which is really good because they could have easily just kind of given up on that and just kind of at the end been like, Elena, I'm your father. But they don't. And right there, he says something bad about Alejandro without realizing. He's like, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't say bad things about the person I'm a servant to. Again, Diego playing it real well. Could easily tell her, but she would never buy it. They also do a decent job of trying to kind of develop Elena as not being just like a damsel in distress or the trophy. There's a lot more to her that connects to not only Alejandro, but to Diego here, which we don't get a lot of in kind of hero origin films. I don't think she's completely like as developed as our other 2 leads, obviously, or even Raphael, but there's still more to her, and I enjoy that. And when you look at Anthony Hopkins, like, you get this vibe that he's just so comfortable doing what he does. Just a talented guy. Like, oh my gosh. Ah, man, he plays it so well. Like, just you can see that he's tortured, and he's trying to kind of give her nuggets of the truth without outright saying any of it. But he's got to be patient. You know, that circle. He obeys that rule too. Oh, villains just love to tell you creepy facts. You're like, why do you have that? But he plays it again so well. Just like, oh my gosh, what? You're a very sick person, Captain Love. Yeah. Still trying to keep the charm, but he's like, I could kill you right here. This is so great that he takes that cup. Ugh. And right there sends the threat back, which is so good. Basically, like, I'll eat your eyes, buddy. Like, ugh. And they don't have to show this reaction, but I'm glad that they do. Because he goes outside and it's like, this guy. Just hits his leg with that. It's just like, ugh. It's good because it builds the stakes, builds the tension, I should say, between these two. Because it's like they both kind of know, like, the other one is that person that they're seeking, and they just can't do anything about it yet. She's like, yeah, so Raphael, like, burned down your old house and maybe killed your mom, and he sent your dad to prison. But here's a scarf. Like, she doesn't say anything else. Which, again, this feels kind of added on, but I think it's good, too, because it gives Elena this mystery that's kind of going on and on ever since she got back, where she smelled the flower and she's like, oh, this reminds me of this place. And she hears Diego's voice and she's like, that reminds me of something. All this stuff. That accent's so good. She's like, yeah, see? Something's not right here. Also enjoy the fake little mustache and goatee he's got. Like, yeah. See, you look good that way, buddy. You don't need all that stuff. Such a good reveal. And the little guitar doodle-doo. Diego, not necessarily the greatest therapist. He's like, just compartmentalize. Don't deal with those feelings. Just put it aside. People die and there's nothing you can do about it. It's very kind of Hakuna Matata almost. Or at least what, you know, Timon and Pumbaa would say. More so Timon. He's like, yeah, what you gonna do? Except progressive though at the same time, because like he's saying it's like put that aside but also do this instead, I guess, is the kind of the supersede here. I like how Captain Love runs. It's very crazed. That'd be so scary. You'd be like, oh my gosh. Like, that's a legit Z. Like, you've seen the Z's of the walls. You're like, hey, anybody could have done that. But you're like, oh no, somebody's really trying to screw with us now. Also, he had to run far away from that because those people would have found him. Now we get him fully in his garb. Very serious. He's like, I thought I took care of this. Oh, those old school maps. So good. I'd love to see that ending. Where Santa Ana finds out and just butchers them all. Apparently there's supposed to be an alternate ending where Santa Ana shows up and sees that Zorro's walking out and saving everybody, and he just lets them all go. The people working at the mine, not the Dons or anything like that. Captain Love's like, sweet, we get to blow stuff up. This is great. Also, they seem way more relaxed now. They shouldn't be. Like, after the big Z is out there, it's like, come on now. He's just right there. So creepy. I love it. I love it. He's just fully in it. And the stance he takes there where he could, like, really stab him, because before it's kind of outstretched, where it's like, it's more of a threat, but now this is like, if he moves at all with that right hand, he can just run him through. Mix the serious with the fun. Again, it's such a great mixture. It's so well done. I don't know if that's exactly how that would have gone, but... And now it's back to serious. It's like, whoa, this is the time. We've been waiting for this. And he always takes that stance, too. But Captain Love is no slouch. Zorro or Alejandro much more playful, whereas Captain Love is very aggressive. As you can see, big slashes, stabs. Like, he wants to kill this guy. He doesn't want to screw about. Look at that. 2 hands. And I love this, too, because you think, like, oh, Raphael's fighting? What? Like, 20 years on, he's still fighting like this? It's so good. And you didn't think Alejandro was going to fight him, but look at this. Like, it's good stuff. These long shots, for the most part, like... And you can see what's going on. And then you get them fighting both. So good. I love it so much. Boom, 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 boom. Like, look at those beats. Just, so good. And then he's like, I don't really need to fight you. Like, you know, he's not trying to kill them both right now. Which, kudos to Alejandro, because he could have, you know, really been like, oh yeah, I'm going to kill him, but he's not going to fail the mission. And here's such a great classic scene, just Zorro fighting all these guys by himself, and uh and as we kind of established earlier, not a lot of people are going to shoot at him because when there's a sword fight going on, it's hard to kind of do that. You might hit one of your buddies. And it's not like shaky cam or anything either. It's just like, look at this. And there's that kind of goofy guard, but he's in it. It's the second time this movie we have someone go, kill him. It's like, yeah, we know. Or maybe kind of the third, because that one guy either said get him or kill him in the very beginning of that big fight with the horse. I don't know. Alejandro has some long nights at the hacienda, because he does that first one where he steals Tornado or wherever that is at the barracks, and now there's this night. It's like, poor guy. So you guys remember that effect we said before where he kind of like, his bandana gets ripped and his cape gets ripped by the whip? Well, we're going to see that effect coming up again very shortly. And without the mustache and the goatee, yeah, you could still tell it's probably the same guy, but he looks just different enough, which is good. He's like, all right. I don't know how she knew he was going to go to the horse stables. Which, again, her fighting style, a bit more passionate. Obviously, there's some restraint or some skill there. Not restraint, necessarily. And he's not trying to kill her, but now he's getting more serious. I don't know how this scene would play, like, nowadays, but, like, if they made it for a new movie, but... Her stance. I like how he's like, I'll just backflip out of this problem. I love that, just swipe around there with the rapier. It's so great. It's just and here's that effect we were talking about earlier. He just kind of laughs. He's like, He's like, well, it's time to go. Got the little swipe across the hat. And again, showing that Alejandro knows when to leave. He's not going to stick around because it's still dangerous. Raphael's just like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. Now, apparently, Antonio Banderas did most all of his own stunts, but the one major one that he did not do was this one we're coming up here, where you see him basically jump, he's riding two horses, jumps up and over a downed branch or log over the path. And that's understandable, because why would you? Also, I don't know why he doesn't just take off in the opposite direction. I guess they kind of figured out where he was because of the whistle, but... His luck has been so good all night, it had to run out eventually, right? So instead of letting them just pass, he's like, nope, I'm Zorro now, I do crazy things. Which I don't blame him, because it seems to be very effective. And Tornado's just booking it. Tornado is out. Tornado's like, I just want to be free. And it's so great because in this type of reverse chase scene, it's kind of fun because these guys would have no idea, because you're like, oh, you can almost tell that he's not on the horse, but for those guys, you'd be like, where is he? Just allows him to sneak up on people. Last time I saw a chase like this, to this extent, was like Fellowship of the Ring. It's very good. And again, he's not killing people, like, immediately. You know? Maybe the fall might kill those people, but still, he's not just stabbing these guys. Like this move right here. Like, just laughs. Ha-ha! That shot is so good of him, just the cape. Just, it's like, woo! Goes up and over this dude. This is what I was talking about, this moment right here. Now, apparently some guy actually did that. And again, it's just a little add-on to the crazy action of the whole night where, he fights Captain Love, and then he fights Raphael, and then he fights Captain Love and Raphael, and then he fights all the guards and Captain Love, and he still sneaks away, but then he still has to fight Elena, and then he has to run away from that, and then he gets on his horse, and he gets chased on his horse. Like, it's a long action sequence, or just kind of, but, dips in and out of the action. Oh, look at the map with the knife. It's classic. Again, kind of Lord of the Rings. It's good stuff. You're just telling him now, I like that they had the candles out in the middle of the training circle to look at that map. This kind of reminds me a little bit of at the end of Revenge of the Sith. Like, we have our two main protagonists who have to kind of go do different things, but they're not necessarily time sensitive. Like, he could go help save all those people. I guess maybe he's just worried he's going to die, and he wants to get his revenge. To some degree here. Or take his daughter back. And he's very sneaky, and I love it very much. And you can see that Z scar on his neck right there for Raphael. It's so good. Watch out, Don. Just right back into old Zorro mode. Same point right at his neck. Ugh. The scar looks like it changed a little bit there. More pronounced, but still. And he set himself up perfectly here, where he's got Raphael at sword point, but he's got his right flank covered so the captain can't shoot him, which I've never really realized before, but he's coming out of the shadows. It's so well done. He's waited for this for a long time. And see how he repositions him so that way when Captain Love comes back, he can't shoot him right away. He seems so confident. Must be kind of cold outside, too. Because they're shooting on location, you can see their breath come once in a while. One of your guards shot her trying to shoot me. It's like, uh-oh. He's like, I will not let that happen again. He's like, I won't let someone else get shot by one of my men. Romanian. That's what it is, Romanian. And there it is, confirmed for her that her life might not be the way she thinks it always has been. Yep. And that's better than just outright killing him, even though you'd still want that too. And she would be pretty conflicted, I would think, too, because, like, the father in life she's always known has been a lie. And this guy she just met is like, oh, wait, that might be her real father. Ay. Now, I doubt they threw Anthony Hopkins down the stairs like that. But there could be worse jail cell for him, you know? Wine cellar's not that bad. I've often wondered this in movies. How easy is it to actually knock somebody out? It's like she does right there with a pistol in the back of the neck. Believable, right? To some degree. I'm not sure. But in some movies, you just like the right hit in the face will knock somebody out. Now again, apparently most all of this is real that they built. And a lot of people still think it's like CG and stuff. But apparently a lot of this took a long time to build. I just don't know how they thought that this plan was going to go perfectly. Because you'd think there'd be one person who would, you know, get it to Santa Ana. There's a lot of people there. Like, all Santa Ana would need to do is find that Spanish seal, wherever it is. You know, be like, oh, clearly, you've been lying to me, man. Everybody keep working. Don't mind that we're setting up the explosives. Time to mirror the intro. Another question I kind of have, too, about all this is you start to see all these people get forced into the cells. Like, they just lock them up, and they're just locked up. I guess it's for a time. Maybe they held them at gunpoint and forced them all in there, but there's a lot of people in all those cells. Pretty intense. He's like, I have to meet this quota, get this schedule going. I have no idea what the timeline is there, but... Is that his super long pistol? It might be. He's a crack shot with that thing. It's a little leopard print saddle. I wonder what the deal with that is. It's pretty funny. If you would have been just a little bit sneakier, you could have done this really quietly, and it wouldn't have been any problem. How many shots do they have in that thing? 2? You got 2 shots in that? Okay. Those guys do not look like they would have swords to fight with like that. But they do. That ladder is messing up the water wheel. Which it probably wouldn't, but... It's a pretty horse, though. Captain Love, you got a nice horse. Or the horse has a really bad person. Maybe that's the better way to look at it. It's just Batman Arkham right here. They might be dead. Who knows? There it is. Oh, see, like, one of those guys died. Maybe they both did. It's like, uh-oh, revenge is here. He's like, yep, that's yours. You can take that. Ugh. See, he's wearing red, so we know he's Raphael. She's like, I released your old enemy, and I don't want you to kill each other necessarily, but... Raphael must still practice a little bit, because, like, he would not have stand a chance against a well-trained, at least for a couple of months, Diego. I don't know why that makes the firework noise. That's just like that noise in Jurassic Park that bothers me so much when Nedry slips and falls. It's very cartoonish. Back to the series, though. Apparently it took like 3 takes to get that or so, but Antonio Banderas said he wanted to make the sword, you know, shine the light with that natural lighting. And the fight we've been waiting for, like... the 2 fights. Double revenge story. Ugh. You gotta love it. I love it. You can watch Captain Love kind of come undone throughout this fight. He gets crazier and crazier. Where Zorro's just having fun. He's like, I'm riding a shovel. Legolas shield surfing origins right here. Must be. I hate the add-ons in a boss fight like that. You get those ads that show up. I don't know where Captain Love went. He's just kind of gone. I'm sure this won't kill all those people, though. Man, fire makes, like, a jaguar noise, I guess. What if Captain Love would have been in that inferno? That would have been great. I'd been like, oh, I guess I got him. Like, what, Elena, what did you think was going to happen? And now he's like, I have to fight wounded. It gives Raphael a fighting chance, though. Captain Love's like, I was licking my wounds because I fell down that kind of, like, dirt path. But don't worry, I'm gonna sneak and get him. Like, he's just toying with them the whole time. It's so good. He's not letting the anger get to him, which is smart. It's nice because Elena gets some moments to kind of do stuff here too. She's not just passively watching all of this. Zorro, you shouldn't blow that stuff up. Two men, one death? What? Like, look how crazy he looks. It's so good. Yeah. Jaguar fire. She looks like she's laughing there. I've always thought that. Of like, or there's something going on there. I don't know. Elena's just loading up on guns. Elena, if you took out that fuse, maybe. Maybe she wouldn't know. Maybe I wouldn't know. It's crazy moments. Those horses don't want to be part of this fight. Alright? Leave them out of it. Here comes one of my favorite yells in maybe any movie. Good move, Captain Love. Right here. That yell is so good. Time to win on a technicality. Oh, it's so good. It's the music, the moment you've been waiting for. You're like, whoa, he got him. And then the reveal, just like, yep, it's been me the whole time, baby. Like, he knew, obviously, but still, just like the confirmation. Oh, he's got that shot. You're like, whoa, yep, he got him. I know there's blood only on the edge of the sword, but see, that's a Zorro thing. Like, just use like little devices to get your wins. It's great. He's like, yep, and there he goes. He's a dead man. So passes Denethor, son of Ixthelion, or whatever. Sorry, I gotta quote a little Lord of the Rings here. Oh, you see Raphael fall to the side there too? Like, Elena, you left, but you knew how that was gonna end, right? Like, Raphael's not coming back. That's a good little effect right there. Her shooting the locks. It's been me the whole time. Oh, beautiful. Look at that fire. Oh, I love it. That explosion looks legitimate. I think a lot of that's real. It looks very good. And if not, they did a good job with it. The real question is, how did any of them survive? I'm not sure. But they did. Because this would be a real sad movie if the smoke cleared, the dust settled, and there were the corpses of all of them laying on the ground. Zorro, they know who you are with your mask off. Put it back on. Also, how did he survive that? Didn't that thing explode and he was like right above it? I guess he was far enough away. It's his gift. It's his curse. Who is he? He's Zorro. Also, Raphael probably taught her a lot of bad habits, so you might not really want to know Elena. She does look a lot like Esperanza, I'll give you that. The classic, like, put the hands together by a third party and it's gotta work out. It's unfortunate, and even though they do make a sequel, I don't know if Anthony Hopkins would have returned to it. Now, this might have been reshoots, or they might have done this a little bit later, because, like I said, the original ending might have been Santa Anna letting everybody go, or just Diego dying. But this seems to be way more in line with it, and it kind of circles back around to the beginning, which is wonderful. So his name is Joaquin, and he is one of the main characters in the next one. But when I was younger, I remember thinking he would say a little Wookie or Wookie. I don't know. But I also remember watching this at my cabin when I was younger too. So I just remember it on the big old, like, tube television, like big, deep, big TV. Ah, good stuff. So did they just take Raphael's, like, inheritance, like his governor money? I guess that's not a thing to worry about. Now watch the baby's legs at the end here. It's kind of funny. And here. Look at it. It's like it's like moving around a bunch. He's like, yeah, my dad's Zorro. He's been many different men. Hasn't there only been like two? But if there's been multiple before that, then they would have all loved her. No, that's not. I don't know. And it's not like stock baby noises either. Like, it sounds more legit there, but I don't think the baby is actually crying though. So it's some sort of stock. You know, like the baby noises you normally hear and everything, like they have for Baby Yoda. I don't know. My own problems. And the door shuts by itself. Who shut it? We don't know. Boom, boom, boom. Ah, Zorro. There it is, everybody. The Mask of Zorro. Oh my goodness. I really do enjoy this film a lot. I think it holds up very well. There's lots of great performances. I love the kind of the back and forth between Anthony Hopkins and Antonio Banderas. I like Stuart Wilson, who plays Raphael. I think Matt Lencher plays good old Captain Love. Again, this Count of Monte Cristo meets Batman Begins, and most of the people listening to this have probably seen Batman Begins, but if you haven't seen the Count of Monte Cristo, a similar situation, I would highly recommend checking out that film. The more recent one, I'm sure there's a much older one though too. But I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you everybody for listening along with me. I hope you got to watch along, or if you're just listening to this without the movie and you're just listening to my voice, well, thanks for that. I mean, kind of without context, you might be like, what's he talking about? I'm not sure. But either way, I appreciate it. Thank you. This movie was voted on by our patrons over on patreon.com/criticalreviews. And if you want to support us, consider that. And yeah, you can do that and we'll get you in there. We got polls and stuff so we can allow you to vote on things for what other movie you want to see me do a commentary on next, or wish list, or other videos like that. So go check out the tiers and you can support us that way. But, just spending time with us, spending time with me, hanging out here, watching The Mask of Zorro. That's pretty good too. 1998, over 22 years, or about 22 years ago, this movie came out. Oh my gosh. Ooh, good stuff. Still holds up. So great. I love it. Let me know if you watched along with me. The hashtag for this one's just going to be hashtag Zorro. And you can just tweet that at me. I'm at JimmyGood013. That's 013. I want to know what you thought of this movie. And, just give me a little review. I want to know what you thought of it. Did you like it? Did you not? Is this the first time you've seen it? Is it a classic you enjoy? Is it a movie you didn't like? Is there something like you don't like about this film? Because I'm sure there are things that some might not enjoy. But I really do. I love it a lot. Either way, thank you so much for hanging out with me, Legionnaires. And until next time, just remember to adapt and overcome.